Can you tell us your name and your post?
Okay, my name is Lanre Arubundade. I'm the Executive Director of International Press Center, Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay, sir. And what can you tell us about this program today?
Well, I think it's a very symbolic and significant program. We're looking at the 1 year anniversary of NSAS, and we're also looking at the 35-year anniversary of the killing of Dele Giwa, the first and only Nigerian journalist who have been killed by a parcel bomb upon by the military government then, because he was investigating the story, and whose killers up to now have not been prosecuted, even though some of them have been mentioned, especially by a person like Chief Gani Fawehinmi. So it's also significant that 35 years after Dele Giwa's death, we still face a lot of press freedom challenges in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, 12 other journalists have since then been killed. 8 of these killings are actually categorized, as murder. And we also have so many other instances of press freedom violation. So when we look at the journey, 25 years on, we can then say that the road to press freedom in Nigeria seems to be getting longer, and we need to do something about it. Incidentally, the evidence of such attacks on press freedom, we saw it during the NSAS protest, when journalists were molested by security agents, by soldiers and policemen, when, as a matter of fact, some media houses, including The Nation, CBC, AIT in Benin, were invaded and set ablaze, by hoodlums. So the media is in a very, very, precarious, situation. The other point we need to make is that both the NSAS movement and the killing of Dele Giwa raises the question of the way forward for us as a country. What kind of Nigeria do we want? And today we are discussing about, the remaking, of Nigeria, which cannot be possible if we do not give, our youths the opportunity. And so to that extent, we need to demand for justice over what happened a year ago during the NSAS protest, especially at Lekki. Everything must be done to ensure that there is justice, proper documentation of the victims, proper compensation, but more importantly, a fundamental reform of our police. Because lost in the narrative of the NSAS movement was the fact that the youth were not just protesting against SARS, but they were also demanding better working conditions for policemen. They were demanding welfare. At a stage during those protests, the youth were saying maybe we should even start raising money, contributing food, and doing all those things, so that the welfare of our policemen can be taken care of. Because sometimes some of these occasional acts of brutality on the part of policemen is also linked to their own, working environment, harsh living and working conditions. So it was actually a twin demand: one, for justice in terms of the brutality by SARS, and secondly, that we should have, a better policing system in the country. So looking back 1 year after, looking ahead, we need to understand that if we don't have those reforms, police brutality will continue, and we've already seen a number of that.
Okay, sir. So can you tell us how you feel today about what happened last year?
Well, I felt that it was good that young people who had been derided as lazy, who were seen as a generation, social media generation, Big Brother Nigeria generation, decided to come into the arena of political consciousness by way of a major issue that was affecting them, which is brutality by the police. For me, it was a good development. And if you also look at the way they were organized, they were well organized. They even showed how society can be organized. Because if you went to any of those protests, you saw young people organizing themselves, providing food, providing meals, and so on. Yes, we had some elements among them who had ulterior motives, the ones who call Yahoo boys. But I think in the majority, those young people were doing something good that they ought to have been encouraged. So I really felt bad the way it all ended, especially the killings that happened, and the fact that at the end of it all, it seems as if we were criminalizing our young people for coming out to protest, for coming out to state what was right, and for coming out to decry injustice. Of course, I also felt bad that we had a lot of arson, mindless burning of public properties and so on, including even attacks, on the media. That is not acceptable. But I do not think that those those acts of arson could actually be attributed to the end SARS organizers, themselves. At a stage, due to a combination of forces, those we call hoodlums, took over, and the rest is history. But that also shows that we have a problem in Nigeria, because with or without NSAS, we have an army of hoodlums all over Nigeria, in terms of unemployed youth, in terms of youth who are thrown out of school, in terms of youth who are hooked on drugs. So even when we didn't have NSAS, we saw these hoodlums in action. In Lagos, for example, during the COVID-19 lockdown of 2020, there was a time when a number of them overran communities in Lagos, forcefully breaking into homes, demanding for food, perpetrating all kinds of atrocities. As we speak today, there's no neighborhood of Lagos that you go that you will not see these elements bearing the same names. So we're sitting on a time bomb if we don't do something about the problems confronting our youth in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir. Can you tell us your name once again?
Lanre Arugundade, Executive Director, International Press Center.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.